who is the editor of First News, which is a very interesting newspaper that targets, it's a British newspaper to start with, that really targets the children, the British children. It is distributed among 2 million kids across UK, and also now is going worldwide, or has already gone to some extent worldwide. We are very privileged to have with us Nicky today, who will tell us a little bit more about First News, and also tell us about the beginning of a new relationship that MTPA and First News want to develop together on targeting a new segment of the UK market. As you know, the UK market is extremely important for the Mauritius tourism industry, remains important, and we know that there are new elements such as Brexit, which we need to take into account when it comes to tourism for the UK market, but that makes it even more important for us as the Mauritius Tourism Promotion Authority, as the Tourism Board, to work on new segments in the UK market. So particularly with First News, what we are, the element, what we're really trying to achieve is to, through a learning experience, because many parents today, when they go on holidays, if they are families, they choose destinations where the children can have not just an experiential holiday, but also an educational holiday. So through First News, we want to be able to portray all the learning that can happen in Mauritius once a UK family comes over. So it's a very specific way, a special way to target the UK family. But furthermore, we also are targeting through this initiative, we are targeting the intergenerational segment, which are 3 generations traveling together, usually the kids, the parents, and the grandparents. It's a fast moving segment. It's a segment that's increasing a lot in value, and today Mauritius offers this experience where 3 generations can come together and bond and have a unique experience. Now, through First News, children who learn about Mauritius and learn the specifics of the country and want to come here are then the vectors who will motivate family holidays and intergenerational holidays. Maybe I'll stop there and let Nicky take over. Nicky, all yours.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming, and it's nice to meet you all. First News is a newspaper for children, which we launched back in 2006 in the UK. I have to say it was to much ridicule at the time. I'd been at the BBC for 14 years prior to that and worked at the Sunday Times newspaper. And while I was at the BBC, I worked in children's programming. And I really wanted to bring together my background in news and then in children. But at the time when I said I wanted to launch it, everybody said it was a crazy idea. They said that children were not interested in the news, and if they were, they'd read it on the internet. That newspapers were something that wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work for children. I'm quite pig-headed and decided to press on, and I'm really proud that we're now 10 years old and the widest read publication for children by a mile in the UK. We have more than 2 million children read the paper every week. Tens of thousands of families subscribe at home and have it delivered, and half the schools in the UK also subscribe. So children use First News in lessons now to learn about what's going on in the world. But the other really important thing about the paper is that it's also a platform for children to have a voice, and that's something we learned very quickly, that actually they know a lot more than us. And I always say that children are 27% of the world's people, but they're 100% of the future. And I think it's really important that they have a big say in what's going on in the world now. Although they're often too young to vote, they have a voice. They're too young to vote, but they're not too young to have a voice. So we give them a platform all the time in the paper to write about the things that matter to them, to tell us what they want us to write about. And also this September we're launching First News Live, which is a online news channel for children, and we want children around the world to be the reporters, making their own films, and we will give them the channel to get their messages out to the world. In May we had our 10th birthday, and my young friend there, Elvin, came over from here to help us celebrate in London. He came with me to meet the Prime Minister at 10 Downing Street, and we had a great time, didn't we? And it was lovely to have him here. And the reason for that was because in celebration of our 10th birthday, we wanted to take the First News message out beyond the UK and to the rest of the world. So we've launched First News International newspaper. So I've got a couple of editions here if anyone wants to have a look. And also the UK one with Elvin on the front page with the Prime Minister. So First News International is really doing the same as we're doing in the UK, but for the rest of the world. We want children everywhere to know what's going on, and we want children around the world to have a voice. I feel passionately that this generation needs to grow up with an understanding and a tolerance of each other, and hopefully we won't have a generation like we seem to have now running the world, where there's a bit of a mess going on, quite frankly, isn't there? I mean, the horrible news from Nice last night. You know, we need to have a generation that grows up understanding each other and actually respecting each other. So that's what we try and hope to do. I'm delighted that we're working with the Mauritius tourist board here. I love Mauritius. It's my first time here. I don't want to go home. I'm going home tomorrow. And it seems to me that it's a microcosm of what the rest of the world should be, you know, with different religions and cultures all living in happy harmony together, which was one of the reasons why with First News International was one of the first places we wanted to come to and to reach out to this country. I love the children here to become regular reporters for First News International, to write reports about what's going on here and to spread their message to children around the world. We've got a series of exciting features planned in First News to promote Mauritius as a family holiday. Clearly there's lovely beaches around the world, but I think what's so special about Mauritius is there's so many interesting educational things. I've been here with my children and we've been to Île aux Aigrettes, and it's just been amazing to kind of see the effort that's being put into trying to really bring back the ecosystem of long ago and some of the amazing work that is going on here, which children around the rest of the world are going to love to hear about, and hopefully will inspire them to carry on work like that in their own countries. So I'm really excited at what we can do. I think it's going to be a fantastic destination for more families to come, and for every generation, as we've been saying, you know, there's so much to do here for children, for the mums and the dads, and for the grandparents. And I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be doing together.
May I just add, it's the first time we're doing something that extensive with a newspaper for the kids segment. Mauritius is very known as a family destination. We've run the Family Fun Adventure. We do a very successful Mauritius 365 campaign, but now we're really going deeper into this segment. And in fact, what's going to happen is for over 6 months, there's 2 million children in the UK who are subscribed to First News, will be opening the papers and every week learning something new on Mauritius, which after the 6 months is brought together and someone has a complete picture of the country. It will be around the animals, around the places, and we can really come up at the end with someone being knowledgeable on the destination. And that means immediate gains, because many of those kids will travel, but also long-term gains, because I have to pick up some very exciting things that Nicky said. It's 20%, the kids today are 20% of the population, but in the future they are 100% of the population. So by being able to reach out to them right now and talk about Mauritius and get them to know about the country, we expect to see an increase in the family segment and intergenerational segment from the UK now, but also in the future we would have planted the seeds of interest for the UK travellers to come to the country. And we cannot not finish by at least having a picture with Elvin, and maybe Elvin can say a few words about his time with Nicky in the UK. Maybe we should give some time for him. Any questions? Zinat is the one who looks after the UK market at the MTPA, and is the one driving this project from our side. I'm sure all of you know Zinat anyway. There you go. There you go. Any questions or any one-to-one?
What is the first story that you are going to write on Mauritius? Since your first time.
I think we will focus on the conservation and the work that Mauritius has done, and I think saving more endangered animals than any other country in the world. I think is fascinating, and to kind of see it firsthand. You know, I met the pink pigeon. I understand there were only 9, and now there's 150. You know, it's just an incredible success story that, you know, I think gives hope to people everywhere. And children are passionately engaged with wildlife and animals. Whenever we write about animals, it's the kind of most popular features that we do. I think I'm fascinated by it.
You said when you're going live, why are you going live? Because it's more interesting, the kids are more on the web, on internet, on Facebook, on social media. That's why you're going
they're both.
live?
They're both. I mean, what's fascinating about the newspaper is that when we launched it, everybody said it wouldn't work, and it's still growing. I mean, it's been growing for 10 years and it's still growing. But we also know that children do spend time online as well. And at the moment, there isn't really a safe place for them to be. So the idea is that we make it a safe place where we tell them about what's going on in the world. But also, you know, I think the world's first platform for children, wherever they are, to actually be able to make their own films and get their own voices heard about whatever it is that matters to them. I think the two things coexist very, very well. I don't think it's one or the other.
Well, thank you very much. Maybe, would you like to say a few words, Ave? Tu veux dire quelque chose, bien? Have you seen the paper? Have you you've seen it, yeah?
Good afternoon to everybody. When I arrived in England, I was very happy because it was the first time that I had gone there. And when I was at Downing Street, I had a warm welcome. And I talked to David Cameron. I told him that we live in peace. That's why many tourists come to Mauritius. Then I invited him to come to Mauritius.
Very nice, very good.
They had a really good conversation. Elvin invited him, David Cameron, to Mauritius. He said he'd never been, but he'd always wanted to. He's now got time, I think, now that he's not Prime Minister, so he may well be here soon. But you also had a really interesting conversation. He said he wanted to thank Mauritius for the work that you've done with Somalian.
Yes, private.
So,
Yeah,
a good conversation about that.
Definitely. No, it was important. This was an opportunity that was given to us at no cost by First News, where we were able to bring the only non-British child on the celebration of the 10th anniversary. So already that is an impact. It's the first non-British child on this project, and it was a Mauritian child. It has been Alvin, you now know, and that has already created a link. There's already an affinity between those 2 million readers and Mauritius, because they've seen a Mauritian child on the newspaper they read. Now we're going to reinforce this message through this was an emotional call, but now it's the practical call. It's work that we carry on at the MTPA with Nicky to be able to promote the destination by using very specific aspects of the destination, by creating the desire for the children to learn more about the country and perhaps visit us in the future. So it was a thank you very much, Nicky. We have had thank you, and thank you again for giving us this opportunity. For us, it's a child who's gone, but also for Mauritius, it's an exposure in the UK, and we believe that it's the start of a great collaboration.
And I think children are the best ambassadors, you know, to have children talking about their country to other children.